Hey gang, Jane here, and I'm back with another crochet granny square tutorial. Today, we're going to go bold with our color choices in a square I call Free Spirit. I love to pick up new colors whenever I'm out at any store that carries yarn, and I recently found this moss color, but wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. I've decided to try pairing it with a vibrant rust color and a nice deep navy, and well, let's just say I'm liking it so much that I'll be making this one into a throw blanket just for me. This square has 5 circular rounds of varying widths or stitch heights. Then we square it off on the 6th round and finishing it off with 2 more rounds done in a simple single crochet, but giving it a different look by working in the back loops only. So it has 8 rounds total. It has a nice variety of basic stitches, everything from single crochet up to treble, and even the back loop only options at the end. It makes a great square to try them all out and practice your stitch skills. My finished sample square measures 7 inches. It can be easily changed in size though, just by adding or subtracting the final single crochet border rounds. I'll be using a worsted weight yarn in 4 different colors today and changing my colors every round. I often get asked about my colors, so I'm going to include them here. The off-white is putty, which is impeccable by loops and threads. The green is moss, which is Bernat Premium. The rust color is caramel, also Bernat Premium. And the dark azure, which is the blue, that's Starlet by Mary Maxim. I'll also be using a 5mm crochet hook. Other tools you'll need are a pair of scissors and a darning needle to work in your ends. You can find more information on the pattern for the Free Spirit Granny Square over on my blog. I'll leave the link in the description below. So gather your supplies and some colors that maybe you weren't sure what to do with, and let's jump into today's square. So we start with our off-white and we're going to do a magic ring. So we lay our cut end over top of our open palm, cut end facing us. Then holding it in place with your thumb, you wrap it around your first 2 fingers, flip it over, cross over, hold it in place again with your thumb, and wrap it around your 3 fingers. Then you take your hook, you go under the first and over the second, pull it through and twist it onto the hook. So there's a twisted loop there. Reach over to the longer strand of the yarn, hooking that, and pull it through the loop to create your first chain 1. And now we have the magic ring and we're ready for round 1. In round 1, I'm going to continue with the off-white and I want to work 6 single crochet into this magic loop ring. So let's go ahead and work our 6 single crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now before I do the 6th one, I'm going to be changing my color for the next round. In this instance, I don't often do it this way, but because I have so few stitches and so little fabric going on here, I change my color in the last stitch. So I'll show you how I do that. So get your next color ready, which is going to be for me the rust. I'm going to go ahead and start the 6th stitch. So it's the 6th single crochet, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook. Now before I do anything else, I'm going to close up my ring because otherwise I'll have a lot of loose stuff happening here. I'm going to close up my ring before I finish this stitch because I'm going to use the rust to finish this stitch. So let's take our cut end while we have the 2 loops of that last stitch still sitting on our hook. Use the cut end to cinch up your ring. So hold on to the base of those stitches with your thumb and finger so they don't go anywhere, and pull on that cut end. So the ring it closes right up. And you still have these 2 stitches and everything's a little more compact now, so you don't have so much hanging around and falling off your hook. Now we take the rest and we complete this 6th single crochet. So we take the rest and we pull it through the last 2 loops on the hook. That completes the stitch. I can take the off-white and give it a little pull there so that the stitch kind of closes up a bit. But we still haven't joined the round at this point. So you can see here I've changed the color, but I need to join the round and it's a very small round. So it's pretty tight going on here. So what you want to do is put your hook into that first single crochet of the round, wrap your yarn over, pull through and pull through the loop on the hook. So now you have done a slip stitch join to end the round of the first 6 single crochet and you've changed your color. There's a lot of different ways you can change your color and this isn't the normal one that I use, But in this instance, it's the one that shows the least. Because if I try to do an invisible join, which I like to do where I take it on a darning needle and imitate the stitch, I end up with a complete stitch sitting behind the work, and there's not many stitches here, so it really sticks out at the back. The other option is to slip stitch with the same color, but I do find that leaves a little notch of this color in the next color. So this seems to work best for me, so that's why I suggest you do it in this circumstance. So now we're ready to start our next round, which is going to be with the rust. So before I go any further, I'm going to want to cut my off-white yarn, get that out of the way. So I have the 2 off-white strands, which I will work in later. I have the rust one that I can work in now or work in later. I'll do it later because there's enough going on here. I don't want to add that to the complexity. And I'm ready to move forward with the rust yarn. So the next round, I'm going to do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in each stitch around. So that would be like a V stitch. So we start with a chain 4. So let's go ahead and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I want to work a double crochet into that same stitch. So this chain 4 is the first 3 chains are the double crochet, and the 4th chain is the chain 1 space. So we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet into the same stitch that we just joined into, right in here. Oops. So go ahead and do that double crochet. And what you end up with is a V stitch. It shows better in the white. There we go. So there's your first V stitch. And then chain 1. There will always be chain 1s in between every double crochet. So I want to do 5 more of this repeat, but it'll be double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So really the next one is the official repeat. So let's go ahead and do that. Double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, double crochet again in that same stitch, and chain 1. That's the repeat. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, all into this stitch. And that creates your V. So there you have 2 Vs ready to go. You want 6 total. So let's keep working around because it's not very far to go. So the next stitch, we want a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Hang on, look at this. Let's get rid of that off-white. Shouldn't even be there. Really got that wound up in my finger. And a chain 1. So I interrupted that one, so you might not understand what he's doing there. So again, we have 3 V stitches. Let's keep going without that off-white in my way. We're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch, a chain 1, a double crochet back into that same stitch, and a chain 1. That's our 4th one. Again, keep going. Double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, double crochet again into the same stitch, chain 1. See how we're doing here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the repeats done. 5. I don't know if you count the first one as a repeat because it has a chain 4 in it. But you've got 5 V stitches and I only have 1 stitch left and I only need 1 more V stitch. So let's go in, make sure you have the chain 1 done. And we go double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the same stitch, chain 1, and we're ready to join our round. Now again, we have 6 V stitches completed. So we have 12 double crochets and 12 chain 1 spaces. And we want to join in the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 4 because the top of the 3rd chain represents the double crochet. And then you have that chain space. We go into that 3rd chain, yarn around and bring it through both loops. And that's your slip stitch join. And we have completed round number 2. So go ahead and cut your yarn, pull it through, and we're ready for the next round. Round 3, we're going to have our navy. We're going to work the same stitch as what we have here, which is the V stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and we're going to work it in every one of these chain 1 spaces. So what I want to do is go and find one of the V's. It's the actual V that works into the same stitch. And I'm going to go into that V. And I'm going to pull up a loop. And then I'm going to go ahead and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to work a double crochet into that same space. So going back down into that same space I joined in, I'm going to work a double crochet. So there is our V stitch. A chain 3 represents the double crochet, then the 4th chain is a chain 1, and then we have the double crochet. So there's your first V, and then we do a chain 1. That's what we're going to work all the way around. So let's do that again. Into the next chain 1 space. So we're not working into any of these stitches, just the chain spaces in between. We work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, there's your V, and a chain 1. So there again we worked another V stitch. We're going to do that in each of these chain spaces. So one more time before I leave you to do that. Going to the next chain space, we work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the same chain space, and a chain 1. That's your repeat right there. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, all into the same chain space. And see how it creates these V's? And you're going to do that in every single chain space all the way around until we get back to this last chain space. I'll meet you here and we'll complete the round. So we've reached the end of round 3 and we've done a V stitch in every single one of these chain spaces from the round before. And now we have 12 of those V stitches. So you actually have 24 double crochets and 24 chain spaces. We end with the chain 1. And now I want to slip stitch in the 3rd chain of our beginning chain 4. So count up 1, 2, 3, insert the hook, and pull up a loop and pull it through the one on the hook. That's your slip stitch join. Now we're going to go ahead and cut our yarn and get ready for round number 4. Round 4, we're moving back to off-white. So what I want to do here is join in any one of these chain spaces. And we want to pull up a loop and do a single crochet in any one of these chain spaces. Because what we're going to do is a simple chain 1, single crochet, chain 1 all the way around in these chain spaces. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to join it here. And I like to do my single crochet where I wrap the loop first. Then I insert into the space, working that cut end into the stitch. I work my first single crochet. And that creates a nice clean single crochet there without that slip stitch join. Then I chain 1. Then we want to move to the next chain space and work a single crochet in there. So regular single crochet, chain 1. To the next chain space, the same thing. So not working into any of the stitches again, only the chain 1 spaces. We work a single crochet and a chain 1. And you're going to do that all the way around till you reach the end where we'll join our round. I'll meet you there. And remember again, it's single crochet in a chain space and chain 1, move to the next chain space. This round's a fairly simple one, so I will let you complete that and I will meet you back here at the end of the round and we'll finish it off. And now we've reached the end of the round here, and you can see I've worked 1 single crochet and 1 chain 1 in every one of these spaces all the way around. So we have 24 single crochets and 24 chain 1 spaces. We end up with a chain 1, and I want to slip stitch in this first single crochet. So insert your hook, wrap your yarn around, pull it through and through the loop on the hook. And we can go ahead and cut our yarn again, pulling it all the way through, and we've completed that round. So we're now on 1, 2, 3, 4, round 5. And I want to start with this moss green. This is a different color for me, but I thought it would be kind of fun to use it. So we want to start in any one of these chain 1 spaces, and we're going to be half double crochets for this round. So we want to start with a chain 2. So just insert your hook in any one of the chain 1 spaces and pull up a loop, and then we want to chain 2. 1 and 2. That counts as our first half double crochet. Now we want to wrap the yarn around and work another half double crochet into the same space. So go back into that same space, pull up another loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. That's your first 2 half double crochets. That's what we're doing all the way around in every single chain space. So move to the next chain space, skipping over that stitch, and you want to do 2 half double crochets into that chain space. Just like that. And then you're going to move to the next chain space, and you're going to do 2 half double crochets, separate stitches. So they create 2 stitches. And that's what you're going to do all the way around. You're going to end up with 48 half double crochets because there's 2 in every one of these chain spaces all the way around. So go ahead and work your 2 half double crochets into each one of the chain spaces all the way around. I'll meet you back here and we'll join the round. So here we are at the end of our round. We've done 2 half double crochet in every one of the chain spaces all the way around. So you should have 48 half double crochets. And then we're going to slip stitch our round, and we're going to do it in the second chain of the beginning chain 2. So 1, 2, counting our way up. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, and pull it through the loop on the hook. Now we've slip stitch joined that round, we cut our yarn and pull it through. So we finished the circular part of our square. So if I pull one of these in to take a look, we've done, this is a different color combo, but we've done right to this circle part. On this one it's in off-white. And now we're getting ready to square it off in the blue, and we're actually going to use blue for this one as well. So this next round, round number 6 that we're going to square off with, that will be the most complex round of this square. All right, round number 6, we're ready with our blue. We're going to start with a chain 4. So we're always going to be working in stitches because everything is a stitch. There's no chains on this round. So we're going to go into any stitch, doesn't matter which one. We're going to pull up our yarn, leaving an end to work in later, and we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now I want to work a treble stitch into that same stitch that we joined in. This is going to be the first half of our first corner. So treble stitch requires us to wrap twice around the hook. So in addition to the loop, you have 2 wraps. Then you're going to go down and insert into that stitch, and you're going to pull up a loop. So we now have, if I pull that chain a little better, we now have 4 loops on the hook. We're going to go through them 2 at a time. So yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and that's your treble. So we have the chain 4 as our first treble, and then we worked an actual treble, and it's all into that first stitch. Now we're going to do a double crochet, so yarn over once into the next stitch. So go down and work your double crochet into that next stitch. Next will be a half double crochet into the next stitch. So we work our half double crochet, pulling through all 3 loops, and another half double crochet into the next stitch. So always working into the next stitch at this point. Now we want to work 5 single crochet into the next 5 stitches. So we're going to work 1 per stitch. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 single crochet. So see how we're working across one edge of our square. The stitches are long at the corner and they get shorter at the top. Now we're going to go back to getting long again, working our way to the next corner. So the next stitch is going to be a half double crochet, then another half double crochet, just mirroring what we just did on the other side, a double crochet in the next stitch. So now we've reached the next corner, and what I want to do is work into this next stitch. We're going to work 2 trebles, a chain 3, and 2 more trebles, all into this next stitch. That's going to be our corner. So treble is wrapping it twice around the hook, insert into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and go through 2 at a time until you're through them all. Wrap the yarn twice again into the same stitch. This is going to be your treble as well. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That's going to help you turn the corner. Now we want to work 2 treble into that same stitch. So a lot going on into this stitch. So that's our first treble and our second treble. And that's the second half of our corner. So there is our corner. 2 trebles, chain 3, 2 trebles. And that's all worked into that one stitch as we turn the corner. So see how we've worked up our first edge here and around the corner? Now we're going to continue to work across this edge. So I'll walk you through this whole round. Our next stitch is going to be a double crochet, and it's going into the next stitch. Make sure you go into the next stitch. Then we're going to work a half double crochet in the next one, and another half double crochet in the next one. Everything else is into single stitches. Then you want to do a single crochet. This is where I joined, so I got to be careful that I don't add an extra stitch in here. I want to work into where I joined there. See how sometimes that slip stitch you can end up with an extra stitch by mistake. I don't want to work into that. I want to work in where I joined, and we're going to work a single crochet. Depending on where you started, that's going to show up different places. It really depends on where you started on your round. I start these stitches kind of in a random place, so I never know when I'm going to run into that. So let's go back here. We have our first single crochet. Then we're going to work a second single crochet, then a third one, all into separate stitches, a fourth one, and then a fifth one. So 5 single crochets across that top. Now we're going to do a half double crochet, another half double crochet, and then finally we're going to do a double crochet. And now we're back to the next corner. So see here we have this edge, then we have our next edge, and then we want another corner here. So again, treble. Oh my goodness, everything fell off my hook. Try that again. Treble. That's our first treble stitch. Then we want a second treble stitch. Then we want a chain 3. And then we want 2 more trebles in the same stitch that we just worked into. So twice around the hook. And that's a treble. And then 1 more treble. And we've worked our next one. Yarn wants to creep up on me here. There we go. So here we have our next corner, which was 2 trebles, chain 3, 2 trebles. Same back here. Personal preference here on whether it's a chain 2 or a chain 3. I actually like the look of a chain 3 once I get the next round on there. If you're finding those corners are bumping out too far, you can change that to a chain 2 and it'll pull it in a little bit. But again, personal preference. You'll know better after you do the next round whether you want that way or not. So back to double crochet in the next stitch. So we're working on our third side now. Half double crochet, half double crochet, and then single crochet, and we're doing 5 of them. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then back up in stitch height, we go half double crochet, and a double crochet. So that's our third edge. See how we're squaring up here nicely? And now we want our last full corner. So we're working into the next stitch, treble, oops, another treble, chain 3, 2 more trebles back into that same stitch we just worked into. Oops, I don't think that was a treble. Twice around the hook. Seem to have lost a loop there. And then twice around the hook. That gives us all the height that we need. Now we want to double, a half, another half, and back to singles. So we want 5 of those. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's take a look here. We're almost there. Now I want a half again, another half double crochet. Now we have 1 stitch left here, and that's going to be our double crochet, but we aren't finished because I need to work the other half of this corner. So going into that first stitch in which we joined in, I need to work 2 trebles. So make sure you go back into the stitch that you joined in. That's my first treble, my second treble, and now we want chain 3. And now I need to join my round because I started with these 2 trebles. So count up to your 4th chain, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be the top of what would be considered the treble stitch that it represents. And you want to slip stitch into that, pulling it through the loop on the hook. Then we're going to cut our yarn and take a look at this. So now we've squared our circle, and this is round 6. So you can see here, these are chain 3s, so they do make your corners pop a little bit. But let's take a look at one that's finished. This one here. Because when I go work around here, this fills in nicely. So I actually found I wanted that extra space there so that these corners sat nice and square. But again, it's always personal preference as to how many chains you put in your corners, depending on how you crochet and how it sits for you. So if you're finding your corners are too popping, like they're sitting out too far, then just use 1 less chain. And if you're finding they're pulling in too tight, like they're rounded, they're way too rounded and they don't sit out nicely, add in an extra chain. That's all it takes. So now we're going to work on our last 2 rounds, 7 and 8. They're just going to be simple single crochet rounds. And for this particular square, I'm going to show you we're going to be working in the back loops only. Let's take another look at this one. And it gives us this nice little ridge along here and along here. Let me find another square here of a different color combo. I've done these in a lot of color combos. You can see it a little better here with the orange rusty color. The back loop only gives this nice line across here and then again across the next round. So both the next 2 rounds will be back loops only. Just a little design feature that I think is kind of fun, something different that we haven't done before. So we're using off-white for our next round, round number 7, and you can join in any one of these corners. And what I'm going to do is my invisible single crochet join again. So instead of inserting the hook, I'm going to wrap the yarn around the hook first. Then I will insert it and make sure that cut end is over top of the hook. So I'm working it into my first single crochet. Oops, split the yarn there. And complete your first single crochet, and I get this nice clean single crochet. So that's in the chain 3 space. The next stitch right here, and I didn't start where I joined, so this is not a chain 4. We'll deal with that when we get around to it there. I want to only work in the back loop. So of course I picked blue, which is kind of on the dark side here. But see how I only have the back loop of this stitch? You leave the front loop. Let's see if I can show you this. Right here is the front loop. That's the back loop. Only working in the back loop. Normally you would go under both loops to work a normal stitch. See if you can see that. But instead, I want to go back loop only. So it's a little bit of a looser stitch because you're only working into half the stitch. and we want to go ahead and do a single crochet. So then we want to do that on the next stitch. Single crochet, and we keep working across back loops only, so it'll be a little more clear after I get a little bit of this off-white into the navy. See if you can see it better. There. So see how it works into the back loops only and leaves the front loop lying there across the front, which gives it a really nice look, I think. So we're going to do that all the way to the first corner. So keep on working across. And we will get to the next corner. This round is a nice relaxing one because we've been doing fancy stitches up until now. It's just simple single crochet. And here we are at the next corner. So I worked into the back loop only of this last treble. Now I'm going to work a full single crochet into that chain 3 space. Then I'm just going to chain 2. And then I'm going to work another single crochet into that, and that turns my corner. So I find that nice chain 2, it gives it a nice crisp corner. It doesn't pop out too much, and it doesn't pull in too tight. And now we're going to go across the next side, doing exactly the same thing, working into the back loop only of every stitch along. So keep working that, and I will meet you at the next corner, because for me, the next corner is where my chain stitch is, and I'll show you how you do back loop into that. I've worked all the way across the next side, and I've reached the next corner, and I'm going to go into that corner and do a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet to turn that corner. Now for me, I've now reached where the chain 4 is, where I joined. So in that case, your back loop only is really the top part of that chain. You would normally only work into that anyways. So where the chain 4 is, where we joined, that's exactly where you go into. So fairly straightforward, I think. And then you proceed on and continue to go into back loops only. And it might feel like your loops are a little wonky, but that's okay, because once you start working into them all, it evens right out. So continue to do that across the next edge. Work your next corner as usual, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and work right down to this last corner where we started. I'll meet you there and we'll finish off this round. So I've come back to the chain space that we joined in. I've worked my back loop only into that last treble. Now I want to work a single crochet into that chain 3 space, chain 2, and now I'm going to join with a slip stitch in the first single crochet, and that will end the round and I can cut my yarn. So this stitch gives it a nice frame around the square, and it kind of makes the edging a little crisper and a little firmer. I'm going to do one more round. You can leave it like this. You could do as many rounds as you want in as many different colors or the same color. Experiment with that. It's really cool what you can end up with and the looks that it gives you. But I'm going to do one more round, and it's going to be in the rust because I like to pull out some colors from in here and just finish off my square that way. This round is going to be identical to the last round. We're going to join in any one of these corners. And again, I'm going to do my wrap the loop first. So wrap the yarn first, then into the space under the cut end, working it into the single crochet, and I get my nice crisp single crochet without that extra loop there. And now I'm going to work back loop only of every single crochet across, including this single crochet that was in the corner of the last one. You make sure that you work into the back loop of that as well. So single crochet, back loop only. Let's work a little way across here and we'll take a look at it. There we go. See how now under here it left the blue line, which isn't as visible, I don't think, but the white is very visible on the camera. So that's what it's doing. It's leaving these nice 2 crisp lines that create a nice frame around your square and draws colors from the center to the outside. So what I'm going to do is leave you to it. You're going to work back loop only all the way across, and then in your corners, same as last time, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then continue down the next edge. And that's what you're going to work all the way around. If you want to work more than just the rounds that I've done, go for it. I'll meet you back here. We'll finish off this square together. So we've worked our way all the way around the square, back loops only, and then working our corners with single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And now I'm back here at the end, and I'm going to single crochet in the same chain 2 space that I joined in, chain 2, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch in our first single crochet. And then I'm going to cut the yarn and pull that through. And that completes the Free Spirit Granny Square. Another great one for blankets and home decor. In fact, I'm using my join as you go method to turn these squares into a nice throw. I really like how the colors are working with the dark background. This square has a solid stitch border, unlike the zippy square that I used in the join as you go tutorial, so I'll work up another tutorial to explain how I go about joining these squares together. Check the description below for more information on that. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to my channel so you're sure to catch all my tutorials as they come out. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you in the next tutorial.